Don't forget to get your donations in for these raffle prizes. You still have the opportunity to get a chance to win either some perlers, that Sparkster cart, or that Xbox One console, but donated by some of our wonderful people here. Remember, this is Save the Children. We're doing it for those super cute kids on the screen. We are very, very close. Oh man, as that happened, we just got a donation from, I'm gonna butcher this name, Poulet Roti, $60, who says, love your event, keep it up. We love you for donating to Save the Children. We are so close. We are just over $325 left to meet our goal. Keep it up, guys. I know you guys like the surge at the end of this event, so keep it up and let's hit that number. All right, looks like we're ready to kick off Rockman 3 or Mega Man 3, wherever you live in the world here. We are being run by Mr. Choobs here. Choobs, welcome on in with your commentator, ALM. Thank you guys so much for running this. I will have to say that I hated running this game because of the lag, but love seeing it run by those who are really good at it. So you guys are up. Take it away.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I mean, you like seeing it run by people who are really good at it? Well, you're going to have to wait for another day, because I'm running this game tonight, not KLM. My commentator is KLM. He's an excellent player of this game, and he is the one who got me into playing this game. So, tip of my hat to him, and I'm going to try to do him proud with the run here.
Yeah, thank you.
KLM, you got some stuff to say?
Yeah, no, I'm just honored to be here doing this. I remember when you first came around and first started running the game. Just about like 2 years ago now, I'd say.
2.5.
Like on and off. Now he's been running the game for about 2.5 years. So, yeah, it's really exciting to be here. I'm really a big fan of this marathon as well, being involved with it in some way or another the past year or two. So, it's run by a lot of good people. Thank you everybody who's come out so far. All the donations, all the runs so far, everyone helping with commentary, restream, all the good stuff. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for all the hard work.
Yeah.
Get this thing up and going.
If I want to throw one more thing out there before we start, if we are able to get to the goal of $2,100 before Choobs reaches Magnet Man stage, I will sing Magnet Man's theme song to you guys, words and all. If you guys have never heard it before, make sure to get those donations in. It'll be a good time.
Okay. So we're ready to do this, KLM?
Yes, let's go.
All right. Just remember, we're doing it for the children.
For the children, everybody.
For the children. All right, maybe one last time. Let's do it. So in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so Choobs here is going to be running. There's 3 standard routes you can take as far as like Robot Master Order goes. Choobs is going to be doing top first, which is by the numbers the fastest route you can do. It's very mash heavy to start here in the stage, as you'll see in a little bit. But it's arguably like the 3 hardest stages in the run are all back to back to back here. So once we get past Gemini stage, which is the 3rd stage in the run, it gets a little easier until we reach the dock stages. So this was the first of the sliding megas on the NES. So Mega Man 3 introduced the slide mechanic, which is seen in, I believe, every Mega Man game to date, except for like going forward, except for 9 and 10, which were more geared towards like the original ones. But so you'll be seeing that used often and early here. So here's our first cat. So here's where the mashing comes into play. So that was actually a really good cat kill there. I believe you have to get 10 hits in on the cat, 10 or 12. I can't remember. But yeah, it's very tricky.
Yeah, I think it's 10.
It's 10, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think those are some really good cat kills there.
Worst room in the game.
Screen is yeah. This is my least favorite room in the game as well. For some reason, I don't know what it is about this room, but it's impossible. So let's just grab some health there for safety. As you can see, the gimmick of this stage is just tops floating everywhere. You'll see this at the end here, these spinning platforms. These platforms are a little tricky. There's a skip you can do there at the end, but it's very not race or marathon safe, so no worries for not going for it there. I would do the same thing. So here's their first Robot Master, it's Top Man. One of the other reasons why Top first is a viable option is because Top Man takes 2 hit points of damage per Buster Shot. I believe it's only him and Magnet Man take 2 hits of damage. Gemini, you can technically get 2 hits of damage because there's 2 clones, which we'll see in a little bit, but very nice fight there by Choobs. Got our first weapon here, the top spin.
Best weapon. We can
Yeah,
we'll victory.
Yeah, we'll see that come into play on the next stage here. How's everybody doing tonight, by the way? This marathon's been a great success so far. Again, thank you everybody for coming out.
That guy in the face because he deserves it.
Yeah, you have to shoot that sprinkler enemy down, otherwise the run's in. But I have to start over. So good job for Choobs for getting that. All right, so this will be the first encounter with Proto Man here, as we like to call him, Red Guy. So you will face him in a few different stages here. You have to land 28 shots on him, and then he disappears to fight again another day. There's another mash heavy section here. The gimmick of this section, as you can see, is I don't even know what they are at the top of the screen. They make the room dark, so you can't see the platforms. You can see all the enemies. Obviously, if you've run this game, you know where all the platforms are, so navigating in the dark is not a huge concern, but as the casual playthrough, it's very concerning. These jumper enemies can give you a little bit of a fit. But here we're going to see the top spin use. We're going to take it a little slower here for marathon safety. There are some really tricky, tough strats you can do to go through this faster, but it is just not safe at all. It's very difficult. There we go, we're through. And that's the end of the stage. We'll have to be careful in the fight too. For Shadow Man, there's a weird thing with the hitbox, whereas if you get the top spin while he's in his iframes, it depletes all of your top spin energy, so you have to finish the fight with the Buster. Good thing we didn't see that there. The whole time while I was saying that, I'm like, I'm gonna curse him, it's gonna happen, and I'm gonna feel so bad.
I was thinking about that, and I was like, oh yeah, I should have put some practice into that Buster fight.
Alright. So we're through 2 stages here. How many of you on the chat have ever played this game before? And I know Cosmic said it, but how many of you guys have ever tried to speedrun this game before? This was my first speed game I ever picked up, so it's very near and dear to my heart. It's one of the best speedruns in my opinion. Cosmic has a different opinion, that's okay. This is arguably one of the toughest stretches in the speedrun. This first screen in Gemini is very difficult to navigate quickly. You can see these fire-throwing enemies just swoop down from the top. You get these penguins that are like tanks. They take a bunch of hits. They can shoot exit you as well. There's also a lot of like these like varying height platforms and all these pits, of course. Staple in all Mega Man and platforming games in general.
Yeah, I took that. I was trying to take that easy, and I was like, oops.
So the funny thing about that too is sometimes when you try to go a little slower and play it a little safer, it actually the difficulty ramps up, which makes no sense to just in general. Like if you try to explain that to somebody who's either hasn't been involved with speedrunning or doesn't know anything about it, they'd be like, what are you talking about? That makes no sense. Because the reason why is because you're so used to doing things a particular way, is when you try to start deviating from that, things like that happen, especially in this screen where there's just stuff flying at you from all over. Another thing about this game too, which I'll explain in a minute here, there's going to be a skip coming up here. Perfect. So there's usually a cutscene there with Proto Man, who we saw earlier. It's like a 10-second long cutscene, but if you jump through the middle of the floor there, you actually just skip the cutscene altogether. And what you'll notice here is now you can hear my voice a lot clearer. is that there's no music. So
no music is going to lead to a lag reduction and the very difficult screen at the end of this stage.
Yeah.
If you want to explain like how that works, KLM.
Yeah, I love talking about this because it's one of the most interesting things about this run is the NES doesn't have a separate sound processor, so all the sound is generated, I believe, from the game itself. And with that in mind, so this game is very lag heavy. It uses a lot of sprites, so when a lot of sprites pile up on the screen.
Oh god damn. Drops in this game are also the worst?
Yeah.
When things like that happen.
Sorry, I wanted to be quiet as he was going through there. That part is extremely difficult. But yeah, so the music actually creates additional lag in this game, which is really weird to think about. So there's actually a few different times in the run where we can despawn the music to actually reduce lag, and sometimes it could save upwards of like 2 to 3 seconds in a certain stage. So you can just see like now how much lag there is in this section. There's still a lot even without the music, but now with it. And the thing about the lag in this section is it goes up and down the whole section, so every jump is completely different than the one before it.
Hey!
You can see he did a double shot buffer there to make sure he was able to slide and jump over that crusher enemy. So here's Gemini. So Gemini Man's gimmick is he splits into 2 clones here. You can attack both of them. They all have each one has their own separate iframes too. So then once you do enough damage to them collectively, it goes back to 1, enters a different phase. And Choobs handles this fight pretty spot on. And now we're through like the hard section of the Robot Master, so now we get to take it a little bit easier.
Yeah, Gemini's like the gauntlet. Like if you get through that, you're like, alright, we got something going.
Gemini is the worst stage to speedrun on all the 8 Robot Masters. It's a lot of fun to get it down, but it is stressful. And I think that it's added stress because there is no music, so it's literally just like sound effects and your own thoughts of doubt throughout the whole stage. But anyways, we're going to go into Needleman stage, which is the shortest stage of all the Robot Masters. We're using the Gemini laser we just picked up to make quick work of those porcupines. This stretch is really fun. I really like this screen a lot. This screen's got a little bit of everything. Also, feel free if we do have any donations come in just to interrupt at any time.
Yeah, speaking, we have $5 from Emigan303 with no comment.
So it's like, yeah, that was Imagine, I believe. Yeah, thank you. So you can see the needles. That's okay. If I didn't already know who it was, I probably wouldn't have. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. So we saw that little gimmick there, the needles coming out. You just gotta be a little careful going through there. This screen, this Hammer Joe screen, is probably one of the hardest ones to do optimally. We'll have another one of these crusher enemies blocking the gate. We're just gonna slide under him, not to take any damage. It's perfect. And we're at the boss already. So this is Needleman, the only one of the Robot Masters that doesn't have like a humanoid body, which is weird. His face is like in his torso.
Just like a blob.
Yeah.
Dr. Wily lost interest in making robots when he made Needleman.
There is lore behind all the... I should have got my old book out and could have read the lore for each Robot Master, but we don't want to put you guys to sleep. We want you guys to be here. Alright, oh, and you can see here we also got Rush Jet. So there's 3 Rush adapters we get in this game. Rush Coil you start with. You get Rush Jet there. Rush Jet we'll use in a few of the stages here. And here we are to Magnet Man stage. As you can see, each stage has their own little fancy gimmick here. Magnet Man stage obviously features magnets, which can pull you and do goofy stuff like that. Yeah, this section can, if you make any wrong moves on this section at all, you'll get pulled right down a bit. It happens all the time. Look at these things. Alright, so we're gonna get our second encounter here with our brother here, Mr. Proto Man. Alright, So the rest of the stage features a little bit of mashing. You gotta mash down a lot of these enemies. I guess I can talk about that too. So the enemies in this game, the basic enemies, do not have iframes. So basically, the faster you can mash shots into them, the faster you kill them. Pretty simple concept to understand. So that's why mash speed and rhythm is very important in going fast in this game. It's also very demanding on the hands. So here we're going to switch to Rush Jet. We're going to skip the most annoying part of every Mega Man game, the Yoku blocks. Anybody a fan of Yoku blocks out there? No, I don't think so. I don't know why they thought so these were first introduced in Mega Man 1. I don't know why whoever's idea they were like, this is such a great idea, we need to use this in every single game ever going forward.
What is that?
You love Yoku blocks? Oh, Roku blocks? Roku is another that TV thing. That's pretty cool, I guess. You can see also there at the end of that stage we used a damage boost, which we call it. If you're not familiar with speedrunning, you take damage intentionally and use your iframes in front of invulnerability frames. I'm not going to try to say that again. To just slide through the enemy. And before I could even talk about the fight, it's already over. Great fight
That's
there.
about as good as I could ask for.
Yeah.
Nice low pattern.
Yoku blocks.
He did do his little squat thing where he kind of like used this magnet power to drag you into him, and then like once you deboost into him, he's active again.
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting fight, but you know, that's the faster you can do it.
Shadow Blade just makes short work of that.
Yeah, if I don't have time to talk about anything, that means it went by too fast, and that's a good thing. So the cool thing about Hardman stage is it actually has no death pits or death spikes throughout the entire level. So it's arguably the easiest level, even though it's hard by name. Interesting.
Hardman stage is full of flies.
Say we see rush coil used. That's actually a forced usage of a rush adapter. You can use coil or jet to get up there, which is interesting. These monkey enemies are really annoying because they will jump around and they will follow you, and they also do a ton of damage. So,
A ton of lag too.
Yeah. I don't know if they count as like 2 sprites each or something, but yeah, they create a lot of lag. Look at that little dance move to get around that one's beautiful. It should be easy, man. Yeah. Actually, this stage is very hard though. You're like, okay, so these enemies here, their hitbox kind of floats as they move. So the hitbox is in their head, but if they're moving, like it just moves around. So you can see there, he shot him right in the face, but it just takes the shot off. They're the most polarizing and frustrating enemies in the entire game. This section here, we gotta go fast to avoid all these little crusher things coming out of the floor. And the bees! Not the bees! Here's our third encounter with Proto Man. This one's a little different. You can see we have a raised platform, which makes it a little tougher. I don't know who programmed Proto Man, but they probably should have given him different moves other than jump and shoot. But makes it easier for us. We're gonna switch to Magnet Man. There we go. We're gonna switch to the Magnet Missile, which is Hardman's weakness. Hardman can do a lot of damage quickly too, so you just gotta be very careful with how you do this fight.
I went for the quick kill, but you have to get hit by his head as he's driving down. And then Mega Man can move freely. If you get hit outside of that area, you get frozen for a few seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Fight again.
Yep. So it's an interesting fight. All the fights in this are pretty interesting. Except for like Sparkman. Sparkman is pretty boring, but... actually, which we'll see next? Or are you doing Snake next?
One Snake Hoodie Man.
Snake Hoodie Man.
It's just like some robot kid that showed up one day. He's like, here, wear this.
Wearing his snake outfit, yeah. Arguably the best music in the game as well. As you can see, another gimmick here. There's snakes everywhere. Go figure. A lot of annoying enemies in this level, though. We're going to use the Rush Jet a lot in this level, which is cool. So another thing I can explain about Rush Jet, too, is... So, you can see, obviously, if you've seen a Mega Man game before, each weapon has a weapon energy meter. Rush Jet is no exception. However, the energy only depletes when you're standing on Rush. In this game, you can actually jump off of Rush and he will follow underneath you. So, you'll see a lot of times when we're using the jet, will constantly be jumping off of him, and that does two things you'll see at the end of this level. One, it allows us to use Jet throughout the entire level without depleting the energy. It also decreases lag because you move all the way to the top of the screen and you'll be jumping off the screen, getting Mega Man sprite off the screen, decreasing lag. So it's pretty interesting. You get these mini bosses here. The intention of the developers is to shoot them in the face, but we can just fly right over them, no problem. It's the scariest jump in the game. No matter how many times I've done that jump, it always scares the crap out of me.
You can jump, like, slide Mega Man out really far off that platform, and you have to be out, like, almost fully.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I can talk about the slide too, in case you see this coming up. So you can jump out of your slide animation, but you can't do it in the first 8 frames of the animation. So you want to be very careful not sliding too close to a pit, or else you won't be able to jump off. And especially if you get like a lag spike, it throws off that timing. It's still 8 frames, but 8 frames of lag is a lot longer in real time. But here we get the snake fight. Is weak to needle.
Not a bad fight.
Making quick work of Snake Man here. Perfect. Oh, you also want to try to finish each of the Robot Master fights as close to the middle of the screen as you can with Mega Man, because you can see he has to run to the middle of the screen in order to finish the level. So ideally, you're killing all the Robot Masters while Mega Man's positioned in or as close to the middle of the screen as possible. So that was really good. That one's especially tough because the middle of the screen is raised up in the air. That was a good stage.
Another one of the arguably best songs of the game is Sportman.
This is actually my personal favorite song of the
Yeah,
game.
I like
This
this
one's
one.
really grown on me, yeah. I really love the level design in this game too, because as you can see, like each has their own gimmick and do it, and this game I feel like did it really well. Even the ones as silly as Top Man. Like... It was good first section there. The main gimmick of this level, as we'll see coming up, is it has these, call them elevator blocks. When you stand on them, they shoot you to the top of the screen. The problem with that is there's spikes on the top of the screen, which everyone knows in every video game ever. Get a spike, you're dead. So nice work there by Choobs to get through that section nice and easy. See another one of our dozer friends here, but we're just going to use our high frames to get past that guy. Don't have to worry about his janky hitbox. Nice little health refill there. Not needed, but always appreciated in the marathon setting. You also get these like junk blocks coming down. It's actually faster to kill that second one because it decreases lag. Which is why you see who did that there. And we have the last section here with some more elevator blocks. We also get these like, I don't even know what these enemies are supposed to be. They're like workout dumbbells or something. I don't know.
I always thought they were like nuts and bolts coming together.
See, you're probably right, yeah.
Why are they attacking me? Worst pattern. Not the worst, but you're really far away from the center.
Yeah. So that's another tough one to get towards the center of the screen, as you can see. Not only because it's raised up, Barkman can do stuff like that where he's jumping around all over the place, but that is good stuff. And then now we're on to the section which ended everybody's casual runs, either as a kid or even as an adult, the Doc Robot stages. The gimmick behind these stages is you fight 2 different Robot Masters in each stage, and they're actually brought back from Mega Man 2. So we'll see all of our friends from Mega Man 2 again here. These stages, they ramp up the difficulty by like, I don't know, maybe like 20 times. Like, these stages are very hard. Oh, there was a music despawn trick there. Okay, so there's a setup to do that. Basically what happens is if you hit a spike in a screen transition at the same frame, it plays the death sound, so you heard it, so you're like, oh no, Choobs died, but wait, he didn't die. What it does is it plays the death sound, but then the music doesn't come back on. So that we've decreased the lag for the rest of this section here, which is faster. I think it saves about 2 seconds too, which, you know, for anybody who speedruns, especially a game that's only like 30, 40-ish minutes long, 2 seconds is a long time. Awesome job through that sec. Those red platforms, they break apart once you land on them, and they can be very difficult to navigate there. So I'm glad to see Choobs get through that with no problem.
Even more so with the music on.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not impossible, but it's a lot harder.
That section, yeah, with the music playing, with all the lag, is extremely hard to survive. So, all right, so this is a Woodman, or Doc Wood as we call him. He's weak to Needle Crusher. Oh, the cool thing about this game too. I'm just gonna be quiet for a second. So the cool thing about this game too is all the Robot Masters have a primary weakness, which you're used to if you've played any Mega Man games before. They also have soft weaknesses too. So which means, so one weapon, sometimes two will do the most amount of damage, but sometimes there's weapons that will do like half of the amount of damage and more than the Buster, which is pretty interesting. And also, a cool thing about this game too is all the Robot Masters are weak to their own weapons, which obviously doesn't help you during the 8 Robot Master section because you can't use their weapons until you've beaten them. But in the refights, you could see that. I don't know if we see that in the refights, but you could, in theory, use the Robot Master's weapon against them.
Like if you needed a backup, you could switch to.
Yeah, it's good backup for sure.
Weakness.
So here's Heatman, Doc Heat. So these Doc robots operate the same as they have in Mega Man 2, so they have the same tendencies and everything. Oh, thanks, Mr. Nauta. Appreciate it. Alright, so next we're going into the Doc Gemini, which is arguably the hardest stage front to back in the entire run. So this is just like the first screen in regular Gemini, except it's even harder. The developer was like, oh, you think Gemini Man's hard? Hold my beer. So you can see I got more of the same of these enemies. We have Magnet Missile time though. Pretty quick work of all these enemies, so they're pretty much a non-problem for us. A lot of generous health there, which is always, again, always appreciated. You don't want to see that in PB attempts because it slows you down and creates lag and it's unnecessary, but during a marathon run, that is good stuff. The gimmick with these tadpole eggs too is, so when you hit the egg, obviously it creates a tadpole enemy. There can only be 3 on the screen at a time though. So we can see Choobs doing here is he makes sure to expose 3 of them, so that way he can just shoot through the rest of those eggs as quick as possible. Taking the top route here. What we can do with that is we kill a couple enemies there at the end to decrease some lag as well. So that was very well done section there. And now we're getting to Doc Flash. I remember Flashman from Mega Man 2 guys. It's weak to the needle cannon as well. So again, same tendencies. You want to try to not run into the boss sprites as much as you can because they do a lot of damage.
I think we gotta make a call, KLM. You got your cell phone ready?
Make the call? Yes. Everyone get out their phones and dial 1-800-RUSH-MARINE. I wish Mr. Cat was still here. So Rush Marine is another Rush adapter here. This is the first game with Rush Marine. Well, first game with Rush Marine. Well, first game with Rush anything. But as you can see, we can just use Rush Marine. It's a submarine. You can get through the water section pretty easily. Perfectly acceptable strat in any sense, really. The section's really difficult because you got these random enemies just drop down from you, so you gotta be very careful. There's a faster strat through there, yeah. It's very difficult and not very marathon friendly. So making the call is the right call.
Yeah, that's if you miss one thing, you're in the spikes.
Yeah. So here's Doc Bubble. He can start the fight throwing 1, 2, or 3 bubbles. You don't want to see 3 because it creates the most lag, which we saw there, but that's okay. Ooh, that was really close.
Yeah, that was not a marathon friendly fight.
No, that one gave me a little bit of anxiety, but we were through, so that's good.
We gotta give the kids what they want, man.
Yes, for the children. Thank you everybody again for all your donations. It's much appreciated. So this is Doc Needle stage, just like Needleman stage as we saw, except it's nighttime. That's exciting. We'll see Rush Jet heavily used in this stage, which I think is pretty cool because you get the Rush Jet adapter from Needleman, and then in Doc Needle you use it pretty much the entire stage. On the second half of the stage anyway. So we're gonna mash down that springy guy. He can cause some fits if you don't kill him, so we'll use Rush Coil here. I'm gonna mash down this porcupine because he's in the way. Alright. And we're gonna see the only usage of the Sparkman's weapon here to kill Doc Air. This fight's difficult to manage because all these, just like in Mega Man 2, the air patterns that he throws out at you are random. So try to get through them, stay as close as possible. That was actually a really good fight.
Yeah, first pattern was not that good, but after that he played ball.
Now we're getting to the Rush Jet section. So this section, again, we're going to be doing more of the same of jumping off the top of the screen. However, just like in NES games, they have like this wraparound thing, whereas if you jump over the top of the screen, your sprite actually ends up at the bottom, which you can't see. You have to be careful, because if one of these parachute guys go too low, if you jump up, you're going to take damage from them at the bottom of the screen, which I know probably makes no sense, but... Also, another thing we want to try to do is we can try to despawn those dragonflies on the left side of the screen as you go through to decrease some lag, but it's a tricky, it looks easy, but it's actually a tricky, difficult section there in the game. So I'm going to get to 2 mini-bosses here, the big Mets. Quick work with the snake weapon. You got to be careful not to get too close to them though, because they do a shit ton of damage. Excuse me, a lot of damage. And if you take a death here, it's total rip run. Because you have to do that whole flying section all over again.
Yeah, you start back just after the Doc Air fight.
I think it's like over a minute time, which is by far the most punishing death of the game, especially if you died at the second one. Alright, this is Doc Clash, or Crash, depending on whatever version of Mega Man 2 you played. Make quick work of him here with the hard knuckle. It takes 4 shots from the hard knuckle.
The hard knuckle is kind of strange in that you have some minor control over it going up or down, but it takes so long for it to happen that it might as well not exist.
It's too bad too, because it's an extremely powerful weapon on its own. It does a lot of damage. Alright, and now in the last of the Dark stages, Doc Spark, which is just like Sparkman stage. Exactly. That's correct as well. Yeah, if you don't have jet ammo, there's no like weapon tanks in this game or any way to refill. You have to take the game over and start from the beginning, because you need Rush Jet to get through that section. Alright, good first half of that stage there. Pretty uneventful, which is always a good thing. Alright, so now we're gonna get into Doc Metal. So this is Metal Man from Mega Man 2. He throws these, we call them Crustios at you.
Good old jagged metal Crustios. And this is the cruelest chamber in Mega Man.
Yes. So for this, I believe this was... No, they had one of these in Mega Man 2 as well. They like these little gimmicky things like Yoku blocks. They also like these, like, spike falls, which... First time playing through, and you know what the coolest thing about that one is the checkpoint's at the bottom of that screen, so if you die to those spikes you have to start from the beginning. It's really stupid. Alright, and we're at the final section of this stage. We got more of these little garbage blocks, trash blocks. Team Trash.
Right.
Any Team Trash members out in the crowd tonight? Alright, and then last of the Doc Robot Masters is Doc Quick. This fight is very scary. He moves around a lot, and he does a lot of damage if you run into him. So what we want to try to do, as you can see what Choobs doing here, is if you're going to take damage, try to take damage from his boomerangs, because they don't do nearly as much damage as he does. So that was a good fight.
Tense fight, very tense fight. Because you get bodied, I think it's 8 damage.
Yeah. And I think the boomerangs do 2 damage, so yeah. So this is our last encounter with Proto Man here. course, they call him in this part Break Man.
IBM. Shout outs to IBM.
Shoutouts to IBM computers.
Right. It's one better.
Shoutouts to Mr. Cab too. And shoutouts to not having a brake split in your.
Hey, it's the correct way to make your split.
All right. So as you can see, Dr. Wily was at it again, guys. Dr. Wily, what? Didn't he learn his lesson from the last 2 games?
This guy never stops.
I didn't see it coming. Okay. So we're on to the Wily stages here. It's the final stretch of the game. And we'll see a lot of gimmicks from previous levels come up in some of these levels. You can see these little top spinny enemies here. We got a little underwater section coming up here. There is a dangerous strat you can do there where you take damage and slide across the spikes using your iframes, but totally not marathon friendly. I know, Wily again. Did you guys see that coming? I didn't. It still gets me. Alright, so we're gonna use the magnet missile here to get rid of some of these guys along the way. These Hammer Joe enemies can be very frustrating, especially through a casual playthrough. Next we talk about the boss coming up here. The boss is the Kamagoro Maker. I hope I said that right. Basically just some big machine that shoots mechanical turtles at you.
Ready, KLM? Whee!
Make it official. Whee! Perfect.
Yeah, this boss has a pattern. It's always left, right, left, right. It's just the time between that changes for each fight. If you get a run with like really short times between turtles, like running against that's impossible.
Yeah, so you actually want the boss to move to the right wall because he'll shoot off the turtles faster. If he moves to the left, he has to go all the way and hit the wall first and then come back before he spits out another turtle. So the god pattern, as they call it, is if he just moves right every time. This is Wily 2. We're gonna see an old friend from Mega Man 1 reappear at the level. Any guesses on who it's gonna be, guys? Yeah, so negative points for Choobs for not taking the pipe in the last level.
Not the bees.
Yellow butt face, is that canon? It might be. Well, we'll check on that later for you, Cosme. The bees are tough. Alright, I'm gonna see Breast Jet come back out so we can navigate this spike section. This must have been intended to get through here. Ooh, that's scary. There can be a lot of E-tanks here too, which is pretty friendly. Alright, so if you guys have played Mega Man 1 before, this guy looks familiar. It's the Yellow Devil. There's a quick kill that Choobs is going to attempt to do here where you purposely take damage to use your iframes to get in the middle of the boss and use Shadow Blade's weapon to mash shots into him until he dies. You want to try to get him in one cycle here.
Nope. Not even close.
Which is funny, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So the Shadow is actually a soft weakness. The primary weakness for this boss is the hard knuckle. It's too slow to kill him fast. This is the fastest way to kill him is use the soft weakness, which is pretty interesting. As you can see, like, you don't take damage while you're inside his sprite if he's not completed on the other side yet. So Choobs could stand on that left wall as you saw stand on the right and be fine, but you have to get out. But once he's complete, then you start taking damage from the sprite. Yellow Devil's being a yellow butt face, just like Cosmic said. Alright, there we go, right there. The quick kill is extremely difficult, yeah. One of the hardest tricks in the game, for sure.
There's a very special room coming up. Would you like to talk about that, KLM?
So the second screen in this game, in this stage, is named after me. It's called the KLM room. There's a race that I did with Almond City, the Mega Man 3 tournament from like 3 years ago. I spent about 40 seconds in that room. Thought I was going to be stuck there forever. So now it's named after me. Which, I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I guess it's flattering to have something named after you, but usually you want like a cool strat named after you. You know what I mean? Or like a quick kill that's like the Choobs kill, you know what I mean? Instead I get the room. I get a room named after me. But,
a room that you had a massive failure in.
And one that I continue to have But anyways, you can see these stages are really short too, which is good. So this boss is the clone boss. Oh, so a really cool glitch in this game, so you can see there. So you usually you can't pause when you have a weapon on the screen. You have to wait for the weapon to fall off the screen. With the rush weapons, you can shoot and then you can pause. And the cool gimmick with that is if you switch to another weapon, those bullets take the properties of whatever weapon you switch to. So the top spin does massive damage to the clones there. So you shoot 2 shots, switch to top spin, and both of those shots take the damage properties of top spin. And it actually does damage per frame that it's touching the enemy too. It's really cool. We'll see. No, we won't see that again. But it's really cool.
But in the US version of the game, the fast kill is to use that
Yeah,
idea.
the fast kill on the final boss, the final form of the final boss, you use that glitch as well. It's really interesting. So as with any Mega Man game, you have the refight team, which I love. I love the gimmick from the game. It's one of my favorite things. You get to fight all the robot masters again here. There's a specific path that Choobs will take to optimize a few things. To optimize your menuing, and also optimize your position on the screen for when you finish the refight.
Likes to slide a lot. Apparently he
Yeah,
likes to slide.
Yeah, we'll see pretty much the same weapons used. Oh, we get to see Top Man, which is cool, which is Top Man's weakness. We didn't have that at the start of the game. Takes what, 4 shots, I believe. Yep.
4. And if you want to tell them about the soft lock there?
Yeah. So well, that's soft lock, but like if you kill Top Man with a hard knuckle, if you're too close to him, it actually pauses you in place for a good, what was it, like 5 seconds or so. It seems like an eternity. Yeah. Oh, and this is cool too. We get to see Gemini's weapon used against him. No duo, no.
And that causes so much lag because the Gemini laser is like 3 sprites or something.
3 sprites, yeah. So each the Gemini laser is a cool weapon, but it's also awful because it takes up 3 sprites, which creates so much lag. It's crazy.
Nice low pattern there.
So yeah, if you get a loose laser, is around the. It's called a Nadua laser. Nadua is a speedrunner. OG speedrunner. He's been around for forever. The lore behind that is Nadua never missed a laser in his life. So anytime you miss one, you have to shout his name out. Alright, and that's the end of the replay. We're getting close to the end of the game here. This is going really fast. How you feeling, Chew?
I'm feeling pretty good. 2 stages.
How you guys
both
feeling?
of them are quick kills.
Yeah, so the last 2 stages, and I got my air quotes going, they're just boss fights. Alright, so this boss has 2 forms. What we're going to see Choobs is get under the boss. There's a turret that spawns underneath the boss. So we're going to use the snake weapon to kill it really fast once it populates on screen. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to take damage, use our iframes to get into Wily's hitbox there, and use the snakes to mash him down. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful fight.
And you want to fire two snakes to lag the fight so that when Wily comes down, he slows down. You
Yeah.
got more time to get snakes into him.
Yeah, so you're extending those lag frames, so you're making everything take longer in real time, which gives you more time to get all those shots in that you need. Yeah, that was very sassy fight indeed. Also, moonwalking Mega Man, yeah. Alright, here's the final boss. This is Gamma. Everyone say it along with. Okay, this is the first one. So we're using iframes here. Top spin does massive damage there. You take damage, coil up, use your iframes, get in the middle of the boss, and just spit him down.
Yeah, that's the fight where if you're using the US version, you run to like the left
that's
side
time,
of the
by the way.
screen.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Game's over. So anyway, in the US version, you run to the left side of the screen, put coil down, leap off of them, and you use that property trick from the clone fight where you fire 2 shots and then change the top weapon, and that's how you get the fast kill. But in the Japanese version, you stay in your iframes, you stay in your iframes in your menu.
Yeah.
So you can do the top kill in his face.
Yeah, it's one of the quirky differences between the US and the Japanese version. I always think that's interesting between like games and speedruns. Most of the time it's just the text is faster in Japanese version, so everyone plays that one. Which actually there's only a little bit of text in this game in that little cutscene. But the text is actually slower in the Japanese version in this one, which is interesting. Not that anybody cares, but
All right, well, good luck. Thanks for all that. And we're just pretty much going to go right into Barbie here, aren't we?
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Are you guys excited for Barbie?
I'm more excited for Barbie than I was for that run, but
I don't
that's
blame
because
you.
I have a deep hatred for that run. But
You should love Barbie.
But yeah, so good run otherwise, solid and stuff.
Thank you.
So we're just gonna let you kind of go into Barbie.
Yeah, and 2 minutes under estimate too. Look at us, we're doing all y'all a favor. No, it was a great run. GG Choobs. That was really awesome. That was a lot of fun to call. Thank you guys.
I'm sad you didn't have to sing though.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Oh, and here we go. This wonderful, wonderful game by, I believe, the Mattel Corporation.
Yes, this was used as a marketing tool by Mattel in 1991 to get people interested in playing with Barbies. It was a massive success too. If it weren't for this game, Barbies would not be as popular as they are today. At least that's how I understand it. Anyways.
Anyway, so are we good to go?
Let's see. Let's check up in Discord really quick.
No, 1 second.
Looks like we're just getting set up, and then we'll take you on. We'll take you guys on an adventure that you'll never forget. How many of you guys have ever seen this speedrun before? Just gonna show of hands in the chat there.